Math and science are really the study of how our world works, and so the impacts on our world are endless. Because as long as there are more things to learn about the universe, which there always will be, there'll be more science and math to learn.
I think Cameron has, at least in 5th grade, he had already had a sense of the world being kind of a connected place where what he was doing had an impact on the rest of the world.
It was really cool. As he developed through 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, he was also on the Math Counts team. And he phenomenally was a leader in that in terms of his mind and the way it functions. He could look at patterns and take information, and he would go way beyond what the texts or what the teaching was, and that's what we needed in Math Counts. You need to be quick with it too.
I think his passion for math and for science just was innate. He was a baby and he knew what a trapezoid is. He could barely speak, and he would want all his cheese slices to be cut into a trapezoid.
I knew Cameron before he walked through the door because he had accomplished so many things before he even reached us in high school. So his absolute desire to be a STEM student and to learn about science and math, he has progressed so far already, winning awards, taking college courses, in the newspaper. I already knew who Cameron Sherman was before he got here. It's amazing to have somebody like that in your class before you even meet them. It's very exciting.
I want the things I do to have the widest impact, and so the easiest target for having the widest impact is the general public, because if it were just scientists, there's a small group of scientists who could take that information and definitely help people with it. However, if I try to release something to the general public, that affects more people directly. And so hopefully that'll help make the world a better place.
I would say science is the search for truth, and that truth is really worth discovering. And so I use science as my motivating factor for everything.
I think that he just has this never-ending drive to explore what he doesn't know. And I think that for him, it's not even about winning awards. It's not even about what is the next bridge that I can cross to put on my resume. For him, it's all about discovery.
He gets a real thrill out of doing the work. He enjoys some of the projects he does. You can tell that, you know, after it's all over and he can present the information, he's really excited about what he learned.
He has just a really big heart, and I believe that he's really intuitive and reads people very well and has a sense of what his community needs.
I think the qualities that impress me, and all parents are impressed by their children, is really his grit, his determination, and his resilience. I mean, this kid does not give up. He spent, I don't know how many weekends and vacations getting his scientific research done. And to his teacher's credit, they met him here every weekend and winter break. And when the experiment didn't work, he has this ability to shake it off and say, okay, I'm going to try it again, or I'm going to try it a different way. But I'm very impressed by how determined he's been to get, you know, where he is today.
Not only was he gifted and very smart and an exceptional student, but that he had the ability to use time management, and he also had his interest, his passion for science. I could see that in him already because he would bring in some of his research and he would like to discuss it and all that was coming in the classroom. So it was just great to hear him talk and just to see that passion.
My main goal is to educate society about the problem and the growing epidemic of traumatic brain injury and CTE, and to also share my results with the scientific community. That's always been my goal.
I think that students learn when they put their hands on things and when they try to discover for themselves. For them to really experience that they can do things that are amazing if they're given the right tools and the right opportunity to explore.
she is able to let the kids learn through the experience. So she is very good at giving foundational background knowledge to start the process, but then we'll back up and kind of watch that productive struggle that we want kids to have to come to their own conclusions and their own learning.
I just can't get over her passion for the children. I mean, working in the schools, you see a lot of teachers have passion, but it just seems like her goes above and beyond. A couple of years ago, we had a little girl get off on the wrong bus stop, and of course the mom was frantic. Mrs. Weston was in the school working, and it was posted on the elementary school PTA page. And she stopped everything she was doing, went to the neighborhood to help look for this little girl. I mean, everything was good because she just got off on the wrong bus stop, and of course, that's not accepted. But for her to take the time, that's just how much she cares about these kids and the community and everything. She's all around amazing. I just can't say that enough.
When she comes into the room, you love Barb right away. Like, she walks in, she's got a smile, you want to give her a hug because she's just so approachable and so enthusiastic about everything, and she comes in 100% Barb.
She's very inspiring because she puts her heart and soul into everything she does. She's probably one of the first people here in the morning and one of the last to leave. And even if she doesn't know the answer to something, she's going to go out of her way to figure it out and find out the answer.
My wife Barbara is a very caring, loving person. She really enjoys helping anybody and everybody, no matter what walk of life you come from or what your background is.
I have a little grandson who's 2 years old, and he's hit that why stage, and my daughter keeps saying, Mom, you have to stop answering that question because every time you answer it, he asks more. I said, I'm never gonna turn that question off. I'm sorry, that question is the most important question he'll ever ask. And we need to nurture that question, and we need to nurture it in all of our kids. And we need to make sure that kids ask that why and that it's safe to try to answer that why.
If you are in this field, you have to specialize. As you specialize, you understand more, but you also see that there is more to understand that you don't understand yet.
Early on, I noticed that with Volker Burkert, he was something that is sort of rare these days. He was a generalist, and he could interact substantively with theorists, with experimentalists of all stripes. He could, even though he's not a software person, he could, and I am, he could talk to me and provide insight about software, and that's not common. And that was probably the first thing that I took note of and said, hey, this guy is someone, I have to watch what I say around here. I can't fool him in any way.
In my view, Volker Burkert is most bright experimentalist I ever working with. And unique feature of Dr. Burkert, very profound and extremely wide expertise in different area of hadron physics.
He always knows how to ask right question. Like for example, if you have a question, you have a problem that you need solving, sometimes you don't need an answer, right? Sometimes the answer doesn't exist. You need to figure out the answer, and the shortest path to the right answer is actually the right question. And using his knowledge base and his experience, he always knows what to ask. And when he asks that, and you start trying to answer this question, it will basically lead you to the problem solving.
Volker, from the very start of this study of excited nucleons, was itself very excited about the whole program. And this excitation was also distributed among his collaborators.
I don't quite know how he does it because it's a full-time job to run and organize the experimental program in one of the experimental halls, but at the same time he manages to do his own research as well, which is pretty amazing.
It's a fascination that just curiosity about nature, and I mean nature is plentiful. Give you curiosity, right? I mean, so much is not understood, and so much can be understood.
The amazing thing about working in the Amazon is you never know what you're going to see next. It might be something that you saw last year. On the other hand, it might be something you've never seen before.
Well, imagine walking through the middle of the rainforest in the Amazon with Tom, where to the untrained eye, all you see is trees of different kinds and just green stuff around you. And all of a sudden, he would ask you to stop right there in the middle and just pause and breathe and look around and start thinking about what you saw. And he starts directing you towards a specific plant or a flower or an insect or an ant or a bird. And he starts drawing the stories of how those species are interconnected and how they all form part of a bigger thing, of a bigger ecosystem that is in balance, and how each of the pieces, each of the species relies on and depends on what the others do. And sure enough, 15 minutes, 30 minutes into the conversation in that very spot, all of a sudden what was just green stuff starts becoming this absolutely wonderful universe of different beautiful species.
Tom is a pioneer, and as a pioneer, he really worked very hard on raising awareness of a field that did not exist. The name of the field, the impact of the field. So through his various positions, the majority of which were leadership positions, had the opportunity to educate many students, but also managers and leaders and politicians. And this has been a significant contribution of his to our planet.
His most sort of notable work, I will say, is to be able to determine that the species diversity actually is a very strong function of the space and time. And depending upon, he started this project a long time ago in Amazon, where he really took a very extensive survey and found out that the species need certain minimum amount of space, certain climatic conditions to be able to survive. And that study is still going on.
So I hope what will happen is that enough people will wake up to the reality that this planet works as a linked physical and biological system, and that if we do some serious restoration, we can pull significant amounts of carbon back out of the atmosphere and avoid some of the worst climate change.